Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from...
This is God Tony the Guru again.
Hey everybody, this is Mr. Clean.
An incarcerated individual at New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision. Thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
Ladies and gentlemen, listeners of Speaking Through the Bars podcast, we appreciate you for coming through and listening to this podcast today. Today we have a very special guest from Far Rockaway, Queens, who got a lot going on in his life, who did a bid, came home, and been home for the past 13 years straight without returning back to prison. So without further ado, let's welcome this man to our show. Tell the people who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself.
My name is Isaiah. Most of you know me as I or I-Thug. I'm from Far Rockaway, Queens, Ocean Village to be exact. And at a young age, I was caught up in, street life, Far Rockaway. Back then, it wasn't really as much as it is now, like, Bloods and Crips. It was more like project versus projects beef. And a friend of mine had a situation with a rival project, and one of the individuals put a gun to his head, and I shot and killed the kid. I was 19 years old. My first offer was 20 to life. I fought my case for 2 long years on Rikers Island, and eventually they offered me like a manslaughter charge, now flat, and I took it. I went up north in 2003. I came home in 2009, and I got down with Local 79 Laborers Union, and I haven't looked back. Since then, I've put countless brothers that came home on to union construction. I even did a little bit of acting. A friend of mine's got a web series called Professional Chiller. I got my own clothing line, and I'm just, trying to make things happen and not go back, basically, and, help brothers and sisters that come home so they don't have to go back.
Right, man, because, that's what it's about, man. It's like, when we do this bid, when we incarcerated and we come home, we all need that little bit of guidance from people who've been home for a little minute. So, when you was incarcerated, what did you do to keep focused?
Well, me personally, it was a little different than, the regular person doing bid. I did a little reading, and at first, I'm not going to lie to you, I wasn't on I'm going to come home and do the right thing. Originally, I used to sell bus, and I was getting a lot of money in the bus game before I got locked up. And my mindset was like, yo, I got locked up for murder. I'm coming back home to sell bus. But throughout the, years, talking to old-timers that don't got a second chance, it made me switch up my way of thinking. So I started reading books on real estate and started, saying, I want to get into the real estate market and things of that nature. And one of my best friends, he's a union carpenter. And he put the construction thing in my head. He was like, yo, listen, when you come home, I'm going to patch you in with the union, and, you're going to go from there. So that's what really kind of, put me on that path to, let me do what I got to do. Because I had a daughter, that was 18 months when I got locked up. When I came home, she was like 10 going on 11. So, when I first came in, I was still a kid, 19 years old. I came home 27. So, I pretty much grew in there. Most of my 20s, maturing and realizing that, I didn't want to go back to that street route. So I basically, came up with this game plan that when I come home, I'm going to get into union construction.
Okay. Yeah, man, sometimes it takes us a while to figure out a plan, but, at least you did figure out a plan, and that's what we try to promote to people, man. At least have some type of plan when you come home to start with. So you at least got to start. So, you mentioned in your introduction about, the show Professional Chilling. How did you get involved in that? What is based upon?
I got involved with Professional Chiller. One of my good friends, Rob Murder from out of Brooklyn, Mr. Mel Murder, little brother. He's from Bed-Stuy. Him and my friend Artless, I met Artless through him. They were already doing the show. So one day I was on the block with my friend, we just chopping it up, and Artless had asked me, like, yo, do you want to be in the show? And I'm like, I'm with it, but I never acted in my life. So, I'm like, sure, all right, cool. But I really didn't know whether I would be able to do it. But when I tell you it came so natural that it was just regular conversation, and then, we acting out, scenarios that we really lived to a certain degree. So it pretty much came natural to me. But basically the show is based out in Long Island and Brooklyn as well. But it's based on a rapper kid named Artless, and he's basically trying to make it in the rap industry, but his past is catching up with him. He was locked up and he did a bid, and he had some issues in the penitentiary, and those same issues came to follow him outside.
All right. So where can our listeners find this show, Professional
You
Tripping?
you can go on YouTube. You can go on YouTube, and it's about 2 seasons. It's 2 seasons. And unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to get back into it, but it kind of just stopped, like, abruptly, because the kid, Artless, who created the show, his grandmother passed away. One of his really good close friends that was actually a character in the show had passed away, I believe, with complications of COVID, if I'm not mistaken. But it kind of, like, killed the momentum, like, we tried to keep it going, but eventually it just stopped. And then there was so many breaks in between episodes that a lot of the characters either moved away or did certain things. So we haven't really kept up with it other than the 2 seasons, but the numbers is insane. Like, you look at some of the episodes got 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 views. All together, both the seasons, well over 3 million views.
Hey, that's good, man. Very good. So you mentioned your clothing line. What's your clothing line called, and what inspired you to start it?
I have a clothing line called Get Fresh Clothing. And I can't take all the credit for starting that. What happened was one of my best friends that passed away, his little cousin, he looked up to us. So he started a sneaker company called Get Fresh Sneakers. And what he used to do was he was getting all the exclusive Jordans before the release date. And he was getting them for under retail value. So he was able to sell them, for a little bit above retail, but not killing people the way they are now in the sneaker game. And he was getting them early. So what he was doing for an incentive to buy the sneaker from him, he was coming up with T-shirts. So like when the flu game Jordans came out, he printed up a T-shirt that said flu game, and it had Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen on there. And on the back it said Get Fresh. So when the sneaker frenzy became too crazy, and now the Connect wouldn't have the sneakers a week, 2 weeks in advance, and he was charging above retail price, it started to really, like, be oversaturated. So now we really didn't have no upper hand in the game, because we were getting the sneakers the day they were coming out. We were getting them pretty much for what they cost or a little more, so it's not so much we could put on it. We wound up stopping the sneaker situation. So at first we were just going to stop altogether, and then my friend was like, you know what? Why don't we just stick with the clothing? And that's what we did. So we have hats, we have sweatsuits, T-shirts, hoodies, and I even want to do something for the ladies, like maybe leggings and stuff like that, this spring.
All right, so how can our listeners find your Get Fresh clothing line?
I have a YouTube, I have an Instagram page, Get Fresh Sneakers. Not Get Fresh Sneakers, Get Fresh Clothing. It's Get Fresh Clothing on Instagram.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Get Fresh. So as you were saying, growing up in Far Rockaway, Queens, and going through, your life experience and everything, and then doing your bid, like, what was your mental state? Like, how was it? Because, sometimes, it's like when we get trapped in, the streets, we got a certain mindset in order to survive. And how did you break that mindset?
You mean coming home, or you mean like in the penitentiary itself?
I mean, like being in the streets, being in the penitentiary, and then breaking all that mindset for when you came home, to be home for 13 years and having all this great stuff going on for yourself.
Well, I would say first and foremost, right, where a lot of people fail at is that they start to prepare what they want to do and what they're going to do when they get home. I always tell younger people, the planning starts as soon as them platinum bracelets are slapped on your wrist. You got to start planning what you're going to do and what you need to do before you even get out there. Because if you don't have a plan once you come out here, it's very easy to go back right into that way of thinking. So for me, I would say the biggest part was my support system. You know, my family. I have really close friends that's like family to me. When I came home, it was like I didn't skip a beat. I always had a job, you know, when I was in the street, so working wasn't really my problem. My biggest problem was, how am I going to find a career and not just a job, you know, that's going to pay me, at the time, minimum wage was $7.
That's good, man. So you know, being able to break that cycle and staying home, you know, preparing yourself for everything, and, you know, having this clothing line going on for yourself, you know, working in the union, getting so many people that come home and a job in the union, which I definitely commend you for, because people do need help with situations like that, because, you know, like I know, it's hard coming from here and trying to get somebody to trust you to work for their business. So that's definitely a big up for you, man, on that note, man, because it gives people a start. So, you know, my next question to you is, what advice do you have for people that's coming home or people that just came home in order to last and stay home 13 years? Because it definitely takes a lot of willpower, dedication, and determination and focus in order to make it, to not come back here.
Definitely. My advice that I would have to, you know, individuals that's coming home or just came home is being patient and being consistent in what you want to do and what you believe in. Because nothing is going to transpire overnight. And you always got to remember, your darkest days out here is 10 times greater than, you know, your best days in the penitentiary. So it may be hard, especially for people that don't have that support system, but it's programs and it's all types of, you know, advantages for brothers and sisters coming home from the penitentiary. You just got to seek that information. And that's why I went about helping brothers that I knew, or brothers that might have just been referred to me by other brothers that I knew that was coming home, because once upon a time, you know, getting into union construction was like a secret code, you know, cracking the Da Vinci Code or something. Like, you know, we as colored people really wasn't involved in union construction. So I'll just give you a little story. One of my friends, he's a childhood friend of mine. Me and him went to junior high school together. So he came home from prison and he was working non-union construction. At the time, I was working at Harlem at City College. I used to see him all the time. And I used to be like, yo, bro, why you didn't sign up for the union? Like, you know, you're doing construction. I mean, I know they ain't paying you union rate. He was like, yeah, I just don't know how to go about it. I was like, yo, my union is taking applications. Here, take my number down. I gave him the information for the application. That same brother today is an organizer in my union. And not to put his business on the streets, but he's making well over $100,000 a year. He just purchased his first home about 2 years ago. He has a beautiful wife and kids. So it's not like, you're not going to get rich, you know what I mean, off of this. But if you put in the hard work, you know what I mean, and the dedication, you definitely can live a middle-class life. And, you know what I mean, not have to look over your shoulder and, you know what I mean, not live check to check. You have money in the bank, vacation when you want, and really be able to enjoy life.
And that's what it's about, man. That's definitely what it's about, enjoying life. So, if there's one thing that you could change, about the criminal justice system, what would that be?
One thing that I would be able to change about the criminal justice system?
Yeah, if there's one thing you could change about the criminal justice system, what would it be?
If there's one thing I would change, I think that I would be, when it comes to reentry. It's like individuals go to prison for what they go to prison for. And individuals are going to keep going to prison. But I just feel like as if the penitentiaries, the programs, the trades, everything they got is like outdated. So it's kind of like they send you in there, and then when your time is up, if you have a date, they send you back out on the streets, and it's almost like as if you got to figure it out on your own. 9 times out of 10, parole officers ain't really trying to help you. So I feel like something needs to be put in place to where we could actually, help individuals that's coming home so they can stay home.
Right. That's definitely good. Yeah, see, my one thing is, I just bring equality. I would want equality in the criminal justice system. Because, like I know, man, being a person of color, as soon as we walk in the courtroom, we not judged like our opposite counterparts. You know what I mean? Like, we automatically is looked at different than, a white person will be looked at when they walk in the courtroom. So I will change that perception of the court systems, man. Like, bring equality so we can get the real truth and the real laws, and people can get treated equally and fair as they supposed to by according to the Constitution. But what advice do you have for the youth?
For the youth, what's funny is a friend of mine has a program called Wheelchairs Against Guns. He's from out of Far Rockaway too, and he got shot in the back when he was 21 years old, and I believe Goat is I want to say he's 46 years old now. So he's been sitting in a wheelchair for some time now. And it's a high school in Brooklyn, Boys and Girls High School. I'll never forget. He asked me would I be willing to come speak to the kids there. And at first I'm like, what I'm going to tell these kids? But I said, you know what, I'll do it. And I went up there and I told these kids my story. And when I told them the part about me actually, shooting the kid that put the gun in my friend's head, the crowd just went crazy. They started cheering. And I'm just like, these kids are so lost. So I told them to chill. And I fully explained to them, the aftermath and, what comes after that. So a lot of times with these youth is that because the street culture is so glorified, nobody really sits them down and tell them yo, listen, man, it's a strong possibility you spend the rest of your life in prison, you keep going the way you're going. So for me, my advice to them is, man, find a job, man, a career, and because the streets is a lot, man. The big homies and all of these other guys that's supposed to be, guiding these guys are just sending them down a path to hell, man. And my advice to them is just it ain't worth it. You know what I mean? It's really not worth it. At the end of the day, it's these kids' mentality is more so you gotta be a shooter. It's no more, that kid that's okay with just playing basketball or, just being a kid that like to get fresh and talk to the girls. Everybody want to, be a shooter. Everybody want to be in the streets a killer. I just tell these kids, man, enjoy your childhood, man, and look for some gainful employment or try to create an opportunity for yourself as far as entrepreneurship. But as far as going to the streets, man, that shit is over and played out.
Yeah, man, I definitely respect what you said, man, because there's a lot of older guys out here that's misleading our youth, and they got them out here just running wild and rapid like chickens with their head cut off, so they misguided, ain't got no guidance. So that was definitely good advice, man. We want to thank you for coming through, speaking through the Bars podcast, man. Thank you for working with us, man. Thank you, man. definitely appreciate you. You know, it's difficult in this situation to do what we do, but we do our best, man. Before you go, is there anything you want to say, anything you want to shout out where the people can find you, anything like that?
First and foremost, I would like to give a big shout out to you guys, Speaking Through the Bars. Big shout out to you, Mr. Kane and Parent of Google. Tell them I said, get well, and I appreciate you guys for having me. My social media platforms is iThug. The number is 848 on Instagram, and GetFresh_clothing is my Instagram as well for my clothing line. And that's about it. Thanks you guys for having me, and what you guys do is amazing.
Appreciate that, man. That means a lot, man. We wish you the best, man. Stay focused. You know, what you're doing is inspirational for a lot of people that's locked up, brothers and sisters, man. So, you know, keep striving for greatness, man. We rooting for you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. You boys stay up.
Also, I want to shout Pep out, man, for hooking this interview up, man. That was dope, man. We appreciate him for that.
No, I got mad love for Pep, man. Me and Pep go back.
I appreciate you, man. Have a good one. Man, that was a hell of an interview. Fortunately, we couldn't have Panic the Guru here, man. He's in the quarantine door. He had caught COVID. We ask that our listeners pray for him. Keep him in your prayers, please. You know, if I'm doing the show, it's like he doing the show with me. If he doing the show, it's like I'm doing the show with him. There's no I. It's we. You know, us and our cast. Shout out to, you know, our producer, Hakeez. Man, he means so much. You know, we appreciate you for all the dedication you put into this, man. Shout out to Kenny. Shout out to Buck. Shout out to our whole Speaking Through the Bars cast. I just want to, you know, tell everybody tune in. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Add us on IG. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple, Tidal, iTunes, iHeartRadio. Our website should be up any day. Speaking Through the Bars at speakingthroughthebars.com. Everything lowercase, everything together. We moving, we working. We should be coming out in the Source magazine real soon, and we'll be in the Viral magazine real soon. We're looking forward to a good 2022. Just stay tuned. Thank y'all for tuning in. See y'all next week, same time, same place. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Speaking Through the Bars. # Speaking Through the Bars.